Welcome to Son of a Glitch. Join us as we explore some of the internet's craziest glitch stories. Story 1. Okay, first of all, I know how to cut bread. I'm not a chef, but I've been making sandwiches since I was tall enough to reach the counter. I know horizontal. I know diagonal. I understand the basic geometry of toast. This is not new. So explain to me why, on this day, I cut a piece of bread, and then the halves refused to go back together. Here's what I did, exactly. I had this nice, big, soft piece of bread. Not sliced bread from a bag, the good kind. I set it on the cutting board. My plan was to do what I always do when I want a cute sandwich. Cut it horizontally first, like a bun, and then cut one of the halves diagonally for 2 triangle pieces. People do that all the time. Cafes do that. It makes it look fancy. That was the whole vision. So I take the knife, slice it straight across the middle. Beautiful. Clean cut. Now I've got a top and a bottom. Then I take the top half, and I do a diagonal. Like this, slash from corner to corner. I'm even talking to the camera okay, so I just cut it like that, because I was literally filming this. I had proof. I didn't do anything weird. It was straight lines like God intended. And then, I try to put it back together. And it won't. At first, I think I'm just being dumb. Okay, rotate the triangle. So I rotate it. Nope. Okay, flip it. Nope. Okay, rotate the other piece. Nope. I'm giggling because I feel stupid. This is bread. This should not be smarter than me. But every way I turn it, the angles are wrong. Let me try to describe this, because honestly I wish you could have been in my kitchen. I've got the bottom slice sitting there flat. I take one of the triangle pieces and try to line the cut edge up with the straight back of the bottom slice. The part that should match, right? It doesn't. There's extra. The triangle is too long. So I'm okay, maybe that triangle belongs on the other side. I swap them. The second triangle is somehow also too long. Or too short. It's like no side of these triangles wants to sit on the side they clearly came from. I'm laughing harder now, because it's actually getting freaky. I'm saying, how does this not match? I literally just cut this right now. Why won't it go back? I try stacking them. I try turning the bottom slice. I try switching which side is left and right. I flip the triangles over, maybe I missaw the direction. No. Every time I think I've got it, when I lay it down it's off. A corner hangs. A gap opens. The crust doesn't line up. It looks wrong. And I can hear someone out there being you just cut 2 different pieces, you just think you cut the same one. No. I was holding the bread. I made one continuous cut. There were not multiple loaves. This was one piece, cut in real time. I know because I was narrating while I did it. This is the part where I start to get actually uneasy. Because okay, if I'm cutting weird, fine. If I did a bad angle, fine. But bad angles still go back together into something. Even if it's ugly, even if it's lopsided, you can smush it and it looks like bread again. This didn't. This looked like I had borrowed the top of someone else's bread. Like I had a bottom from universe A and a top from universe B, and someone was here, make a sandwich. And I was I can't because these were not born together. I kept saying it out loud to make it less creepy. Okay, I literally cut this bread horizontal. And then diagonal. Top. Bottom. Bottom. Top. I'm trying to prove it to myself while I'm doing it. But it's not mating. The more I messed with it, the more it felt like those TikToks where someone's in a parking garage and no matter how they go up or down they're on the wrong level. Like I was stuck in a bread parking garage. I could see how it should go. Right there in front of me, but I could not physically make it go. And because I'm me, I start questioning everything. Did the knife bend the bread somehow? Did I squish it and warp the shape? Did I cut at a micro angle and now I'm paying for it? I pick up the slices and hold them up together in the air, thinking maybe gravity on the board is doing something. Still wrong. So I'm okay, maybe I'm just having an absolute brain fart. Maybe I need to reset. I put the pieces down. I walk away. I come back. Fresh eyes. I pick up the first triangle and try to fit it like a puzzle. Still. Wrong. Bro. It was bread. It was not a 3D printed Mobius strip. This should not be a puzzle. I start thinking, okay, maybe I cut through at a slight curve. So I check the edges. They're straight. That's the part that unnerves me most. They are straight. There is no visual reason for them to not fit. The lines are clean. Any rational person looking at those 2 pieces would say, yeah, those are from the same original slice. But they do not fit. And here's what I hate. I never actually solved it. I wish this story ended with, and then I realized I was just flipping the wrong one, or then I noticed I had two bottoms, or something that makes me look less like I live in a broken simulation. It doesn't. I just eventually gave up, stacked them in a way that was close enough, and ate it. But I ate it angrily. Because I hate that feeling. I hate when reality does something small that doesn't add up. Big scary things, fine. You can blame ghosts or intruders or whatever. But small, stupid things? A sandwich not recombining after you personally cut it? That feels like the universe slipped, and we saw the edit. And the whole rest of the day I kept picking stuff up and turning it over like, are you going to fit together like you're supposed to? Are you going to pretend we didn't just have a moment? I know people in the comments were like, you just cut it wrong. And honestly, I hope they're right. I hope I am dumb and bread is hard. Because the other option is that sometimes physics looks away and things stop matching. And that's worse. Also, I'm never cutting it like that again. Story 2. But I was there. I was old enough to remember details. And I still think about it. I was a kid, 4th or 5th grade, and it is burned into my brain like it happened last week. So picture this. I was super close to my grandma. Like super close. She lived basically a stone's throw from us. I could literally walk through the little creek, cut through the woods, and be in her yard. She picked me up from school 2 or 3 times a week. It was our thing. And every single time she picked me up, we would go to Wendy's. Every time. I'd get my fries, she'd get her baked potato, we'd sit in that little glass sunroom Wendy's used to have. Y'all remember that? And we'd just talk. My grandma has one very, very noticeable feature, bright, crystal, ice blue eyes. Like piercing. That kind of blue where people comment on it. You meet her and you're like, oh wow, your eyes. It's a thing. It was part of her. I grew up knowing, grandma has blue eyes. Period. Not up for debate. Okay. One regular after-school day, she picks me up. Totally normal. I throw my backpack in the back, hop in the car, we drive to Wendy's. We sit in the glass area. Sun's coming in, fries are hot, everything is regular. I look up at her while I'm eating, and my whole brain just stops. Because her eyes are brown. Not hazel. Not, it was dark so they looked darker. Brown. Like medium brown. Like my mom's eyes. Like most people's eyes. Not a hint of blue anywhere. I remember my little kid brain doing that record scratch feeling. Like, wait. No. That's not right. You know when you look at something so familiar, and it's suddenly wrong, and you get that woozy feeling? That. So I say out loud, because I was not a subtle child, Grandma, your eyes are brown. And she goes totally calm, totally casual, like I'm the weird one. Yeah, Lauren. I have brown eyes. I was like, no you don't. I even laughed. No you don't, you have blue eyes. And she goes, no. I've always had brown eyes. Now I'm looking straight at her, trying to find any blue in there, and there isn't. And she's saying it so confidently that I start to feel crazy. Like, did I dream her eye color for my entire childhood? Did I invent a whole blue-eyed grandma in my head? She keeps eating. She is completely unbothered. I'm the only one spiraling. So I start interrogating her like I'm 10 years old on Dateline. Grandma, your eyes are blue. No, they're not. What do you mean? I see them. They're blue. Honey, they're brown. And you have to understand, this is not a woman who would wear colored contacts as a prank on a child. She was not that grandma. She was not on TikTok. She was not doing bits. She was just my grandma. We finish eating. I go home still confused. I walk in the door and tell my mom, Grandma's eyes are brown. And my mom, without even looking up, goes, yeah, your grandma has brown eyes. No, she doesn't. I'm like, no, she has blue eyes. And my mom is like, what? No, she doesn't. She's always had brown eyes. Now I really feel insane. Because my grandma has blue eyes. I know she has blue eyes. I can see her in my head, right then with her blue eyes. That's like someone telling you your dad is suddenly 5 feet 2 inches, when he's been 6 feet 1 inch your whole life. It's a fixed fact. So I argue. With my mom. With my grandma. With literally anyone who will listen. I'm like, yesterday she had blue eyes. And everyone around me is looking at me, like I'm making up a story for attention. And that should have been the end, right? Like I should have eventually gone, okay, I must have misremembered, and moved on. Except, a couple days later, like 3 days, my grandma comes over again. We're in the kitchen. She's talking. I look up. Her eyes are blue. Bright. Crystal. Oh my gosh, your eyes blue. The eyes I always knew. The eyes I told everyone she had. Back like they never left. I literally blurted it out again. Grandma, your eyes are blue. And she laughs like I'm being silly and goes, yeah, Lauren, I have blue eyes. I just stared at her. I was like, no. You said they were brown. At Wendy's. You said you've always had brown eyes. She looked at me like I had 3 heads. What are you talking about? I've always had blue eyes. So now everyone's gaslighting me, Grandma, Mom, the universe. I even told my mom again, see? They're blue now. And she goes, they've always been blue. No, they have not. Because I sat in that Wendy's with that woman and watched her eat fries with brown eyes and tell me they had always been brown. And then 3 days later she's back to blue and telling me they've always been blue. There is no, maybe she was in bad lighting. We were in a glass room. There is no, maybe she had contacts in. My grandma did not wear contacts. There is no, maybe you mixed her up with someone else. I knew my grandma. So what are the options? They pranked me. For absolutely no reason. And then committed to the prank for 20+ years. Tell me why. Tell me what's funny about confusing a 4th grader about her reality. Also, somebody would have cracked by now. Somebody would have been like, remember when we tricked you with the eye thing? Nobody ever has. I hallucinated it. Which, okay, sure, I guess, but it was specific, it was detailed, and everyone in the moment backed up the version I saw. My mom said brown. My grandma said brown. That is 2 people confirming my hallucination. I popped into a version of reality where my grandma's eyes were brown for a day, and then I popped back. And I know 3 sounds crazy, but tell me why it fits better than the other 2. Because in that brown-eyed version, everyone else remembered her as brown-eyed. My mom did. My grandma did. I was the only one carrying over knowledge from blue-eyed grandma reality. That's why it felt like gaslighting, because I had the memory from the other line, and they didn't. Then it snapped back, and everyone remembered blue again. Except me. I remember both. That's why it stuck with me. That's why I still talk about it. That's why I can hear the scrape of the Wendy's tray, and smell the fries, and see the brown eyes. Because for one afternoon, my grandma belonged to a different version. And I was the only one who noticed. Story 3. So, I've got a push-to-start car. Important detail. You do not put the key in anywhere. You just have to have the fob in the car, and it starts. If the fob is not in the car, it will yell at you. If the fob leaves the car while it's running, it will yell at you. They make them like that so people don't drive off and lose their keys. Keep that in mind. This day starts totally normal. I wake up, grab my gym bag, grab my keys. I remember grabbing my keys because my gym tag is on my keyring, so I can't go to the gym without it. Like literally can't check in. I go out to the driveway, get in the car, push start. Car turns on. All normal. I drive to the gym. I park. I take my keys, boop, check in. I put my keys back in my bag. I remember doing that. I work out. I come back out to the car. I open it. I start it again. That is start number 2. Car has recognized the keys twice now. Then I go to the grocery store. Because of course if I'm out I'm going to make it a whole errand morning. I get out, lock the car, go inside, buy my stuff, come back, get in, push start. That is start number 3. Car still has not once said, key not detected. Then I decide I need potting soil from Lowe's. Why do we do this? Why do we add one more errand every time? I drive to Lowe's. Park. Turn car off. Go inside. Get dirt. Come back out. Get in car. Push start. Car turns on again. No errors. No beeping. No key not in vehicle. So let's count. Home, gym, grocery store, Lowe's, home. Multiple stops. Multiple times I locked and unlocked my house and car. Multiple times I started my car. At every one of those points, I would have needed my keys. I finally pull into my driveway, thinking I'm just going to run in real quick, grab the dogs, and take them for a walk. I leave the car running, because I'm just popping in. I turn to grab my keys. No keys. Not on the seat. Not in the cup holder. Not in the passenger seat. Not in my bag. I'm digging through my gym bag like a raccoon, throwing protein bars and a sweaty towel everywhere. I check the floor, under the seat, the little door pocket. Nothing. I'm like, okay, maybe I dropped them in the trunk when I put the dirt in. I get out. Car is still running, by the way. Go to the trunk, open it, dig around. No keys. At this point, I've been searching inside the car for like 5 to 7 minutes. Car is still on. Not beeping. Not flashing a key not detected message. It is perfectly happy. That alone is already weird, because in my car, if my husband takes the key and walks 3 feet away, it's like beep beep, key not in vehicle. But right now with me, no key in sight. Silent. I start getting annoyed. I have two dogs staring at me through the front window like, "Mother, our walk?" My car is idling in the driveway. I do not have my house key. And I'm thinking, okay, I cannot have gotten in and out of 3 separate businesses without my keys. That's impossible. So I'm like, fine. Maybe I absent-mindedly stuck them in a pocket or something, and I'm just not finding them. I decide to go check the door to see if maybe I didn't lock it when I left. I walk up to my front door. My keys are dangling from the lock. Just hanging there, in the outside of my front door, where anyone walking by could have taken them. Shiny and obvious, and not at all where they're supposed to be. I just stared at them, because now my brain is trying to line up 2 things that can't both be true. These keys have been in my front door this whole time. I have been driving around town with these keys starting my car. Those things don't go together. If the keys were in the front door, how did I start my car? Not once, but multiple times. At 3 separate locations. If the keys were in the car with me, how did they end up back in the door while I was driving? I take them out of the lock and immediately hate myself because, hello, that's so unsafe, and I'm just standing there on my porch holding them like they're evidence in a crime. I look back at my car, still running, still fine, and I get this full-body chill. Because I remember using the keys to check into the gym. That memory exists. I remember locking the car. I remember pushing start. The timeline in my head is solid. But the physical location of the keys says, no, you left us here. And if I left them there, how did I? Unlock the car at the gym. Start the car at the gym. Lock the car at the grocery store. Start the car again. Drive to Lowe's. Start the car again to come home. Push to start cars are not that generous. They do not operate telepathically from your house. They need the fob. I went back and sat in the car and just let it run for a minute, and I was like, I can't explain this. I cannot explain this. Because the only boring explanation, the only one, is that I somehow drove without the key, like once, and the car forgot to tell me. But even then, on the 2nd or 3rd start, it should have refused, or at least thrown up a warning. And it didn't. Not once. So then you get into the not boring explanations. Like, did I split? Was there a version of me that took the keys and did errands, and then the version of me in this branch never took the keys and left them in the door? And then the 2 versions merged when I pulled into the driveway, leaving the physical keys in the spot where this version of me left them, but the memory of using the keys from the other version stayed? Because that's exactly what it felt like. 2 true things that should cancel each other out, but didn't. I told friends and they were like, you just forgot, we've all left our keys in the door. And yes, sure, we all forget. But you do not forget while also successfully operating a key-dependent car 3 times across town. That's the part one can't debunk. My car should have snitched. It didn't. Story 4. This one still makes me mad because it was so stupidly simple, and that's what makes it impossible to explain. Like, it wasn't a haunted doll. It wasn't a shadow person. It was forks. Literally just forks that should have been there, weren't there, and then were there 5 minutes later in the exact drawer I had already checked twice. So 2 years ago, me and my boyfriend are in Columbia, South Carolina. We rent this cute little Airbnb, nothing fancy, just a normal apartment vibe with a nice little back patio. We get there late-ish, we're tired, so we decide to just DoorDash food instead of going out. We're like, we'll sit outside, be cute, eat on the patio. Romantic. Chill. DoorDash arrives. We open all the boxes. And of course, the food place forgot utensils. No problem. It's an Airbnb. They always have forks. They always have a random drawer of mismatched stuff. I'll just run inside and grab some. So I go in the kitchen. I start opening drawers. First one, junk drawer. Scissors, tape, random batteries, takeout menus. No forks. Second one, oven mitts. Cool. Still no forks. Third one, utensils, but like cooking utensils. Spatula, tongs, ladle. On the right side of this drawer are the oven mitts, and on the left side is a spatula and those clampy metal tongs. I remember this drawer exactly because there was this random computer charger plugged into the wall, and the cord was hanging down over the drawer, and when I closed it, the cord got caught, and I had to open the drawer again to fix it. So I looked in that drawer twice. I clocked it. I noticed how weird it was that the middle of the drawer was completely empty. No cutlery tray. Just big stuff shoved to either side. I close every cabinet. I open every cabinet. I look in the weird spot above the fridge. I open the dishwasher in case they were left in there. Nothing. So I go back out to the patio and I tell my boyfriend, they don't have silverware. He's like, What do you mean they don't have silverware? Every Airbnb has silverware. I'm like, well, this one doesn't. We laugh about it. We're like, I guess we're eating with our hands. And we do. We literally eat with our hands like raccoons. It was messy and kind of funny. After we're done, I go back inside to clean up, because I'm not going to leave a mess in someone else's rental. I start taking everything to the kitchen. He stays outside. I'm wiping the counter, loading containers into the trash, and I hear him from the other room go, in that annoyed yet smug boyfriend voice. Silverware's right here. I stop. I'm like, no it's not. He's like, babe, it's right here. I walk back in. He has the same drawer open, the one with the computer charger that caught, the one with the spatula and tongs on the sides and the empty middle, and in the dead center of that drawer is a full plastic cutlery tray. Forks, knives, spoons, all sitting there like they have been sitting there since 1984. I'm just standing there blinking. I said, no, that was not in there. He's like, what are you talking about? It's right here. I said, I opened that exact drawer. Twice. I remember the cord. I remember the spatula. There was nothing in the middle. It was empty. He looks at me like I'm dramatic. Well, it's here now. No, that is not good enough. Because here's what would have had to happen for this to be normal. I open the drawer. I somehow do not see an entire big white plastic cutlery tray taking up the middle. I close the drawer. The cord gets stuck. I open the drawer again, focused enough to fix the cord, but not focused enough to notice an entire cutlery tray. I close it again. I open every other drawer and cabinet in the kitchen, still not thinking. I must have looked right at it. I tell him, there is no silverware. 5 minutes later, I walk back in and there it is, magically appearing in the same drawer. I don't buy that. And before anyone says the host came in. No. Door was locked. We were there. There was no secret host sliding through the wall like in The Boy to Deliver Forks. So I tell this story later to some friends, and one of them goes dead serious. You know, some Airbnb hosts have like hidden crawl spaces and they come out and fix stuff while you're there. I was like, okay, well, I would actually rather it be a timeline jump than a man in the wall, thanks. Because that is the only other explanation. Either someone was in that apartment watching us eat with our hands and was like, LOL, let's mess with her, and put the silverware back, or reality hiccuped. And here's the part that makes me think it was a hiccup and not me being a dummy. That drawer layout I saw, the one with the big utensils on the sides and the empty middle, that is such a weird layout that when I saw it I thought, that's weird. You know when your brain flags something as unusual and files it? I filed it. If there had been a giant cutlery tray there, that would have been the thing I filed. I would have been like, okay, silverware, we're good. I would not have gone back outside like, they have nothing. So what it felt like was, when I checked, I was in version A of the Airbnb, the one where, for whatever stupid reason, there was no silverware. And when he checked 5 minutes later, we were in version B, the one where the host did stock the drawer like a normal person. And I know that sounds dramatic over forks, but this is why the little glitches are worse than the big ones. Because if reality is loose enough that a whole tray of cutlery can wink in and out of existence between 1 minute and the next, that means other, more important things can too. It also means my memory was fine. Everyone loves to jump straight to you just didn't see it. And sometimes, sure, yeah, humans miss stuff. But I am telling you I looked. I looked twice. I looked annoyed. I looked like, why would this Airbnb not have forks? I looked like I had a problem to solve. And then suddenly, it was solved by something other than me. That's what freaks me out. Not that the forks weren't there, but that they showed up after I decided they weren't. Like reality went, oh right, she needs those, and rendered them in. Story 5. I swear to you, this woman already died. That's the part everybody keeps missing when I tell it. They think I'm saying, oh, it felt like she died, or I dreamed she died, or I got confused because I saw an old post. No, I mean this literally. I lived through her death once already. I remember the day. I remember where I was. I remember who I talked to about it. And then 2 years later, it happened again like the first time never happened. Okay, back up. In college, I was in the music/theater program. And the chair of the music department, I'm not going to say her name, we're going to call her the chair. She was a lot. Talented, yes. Powerful, yes. But also rude, dismissive, kind of racist in that, I don't think you belong in this role way. She's the one who made me feel like being black in musical theater was a disadvantage. That sticks. That stays in your bones. Now around 2 years ago, I remember this so clearly. I was scrolling Facebook and I saw a post from her daughter. It was one of those long, emotional grief posts. My mother passed after a battle with cancer, etc. Photo of her. People commenting crying emojis. You know the ones. I remember my first reaction was complicated. Like, I don't wish death on anyone, but I wasn't devastated. She wasn't kind to me. She hurt a lot of students. So I had this weird, oh wow feeling. And then something funny happened. All these former students, some of whom complained about her constantly, started posting like, she was such a light, she believed in me. I am shattered. And I was like, girl, 2 years ago you were calling her a tyrant. You were texting me during rehearsal about how she ignored all the students of color. But now that she's dead, we're all in mourning? Okay. I even talked to my friend from the program. We'll call her M. We were on Marco Polo and she literally sang that line from a chorus line. And I felt nothing. We both laughed. Because that's what we felt, nothing. Not joy, not relief, not deep grief. Just nothing. And we said that to each other. That conversation is lodged in my brain. I remember what I was wearing. I remember sitting on my bed staring at my phone like, is it bad that I don't feel sad? She was like, no, I don't either. That was her death. Full Facebook morning posts. People resharing old photos. People in our department commenting. I was there. I remember double tapping some of them just to be polite. I remember thinking, this is weird but fine. We can all pretend we loved her. Now fast forward to literally today. I get a text from M. I can't believe we haven't talked about this, the chair died. I stared at my phone like it had insulted me. I wrote back, what are you talking about? That already happened. She sends another message. I feel bad because I feel like that line from a chorus line. And that's when my blood ran cold. Because you have to understand, she said those same words the first time. That exact line. Same joke. Same context. 2 years ago. About this same woman. So I go to Facebook, fully expecting to see a 2 years ago today memory. You know how it does that? I'm expecting to see the old post resurfaced. No. It's a fresh post. New date. Today. Same woman. Same daughter. Same photo. Same people in the comments being like, I am devastated. She was such a force. Heaven gained an angel. I scroll and scroll looking for my old post about it, because I remember vague posting about how funny it is when people act like saints after someone dies that they actually didn't like. That post? Gone. Not in my memories. Not in my timeline. Like I never said it. Meanwhile, people I remember mourning her 2 years ago are mourning her again. Identical energy. Identical. I learned so much from her tone. I even see the same person who, the first time, was like, this is such a loss. And today they're posting again like this is brand new information. I'm sitting there thinking, how are y'all doing this twice? Like, how are we having the same grief party 2 years apart and nobody is noticing that we already wore this outfit? So of course I start second-guessing myself. I'm like, okay, maybe I dreamed it. Maybe I saw some old picture of her sick and my brain filled in she died. Maybe M and I had a hypothetical conversation about it. Maybe it was a weird timeline of Facebook posts. I'm trying to be reasonable, but I keep circling back to the details. I remember exactly where I was when I found out the first time, sitting in bed, hoodie, hair in a bun, scrolling. I remember messaging M right then. I remember her sending me that Marco Polo singing the Mr. Carp lyric. I remember saying, girl, same. I remember thinking it was funny that all the people who talked trash about her were now in public mourning. That's not a fuzzy memory. That's sharp. So what changed? The only thing that makes sense to me, and I know how it sounds, is that somewhere between then and now I slid into a version of reality where that first death didn't happen yet. Like, in the branch I was on, she died in 2023. In this branch, she died in 2025. And my brain is still carrying the 2023 file. And before you go, oh, quantum immortality? Yes, that's exactly where my head went. Because here's the other layer. A couple years ago, I was in a car accident that I honestly should not have walked away from. Drunk driver, wrong lane, 40 miles per hour, no braking. My car was destroyed. Cops and EMTs were like, we don't know how you're standing. I had bruises but no major injuries. After that, everything felt off. Just a hair off. Like the colors were a little too bright or conversations had slightly different outcomes. It was subtle enough that I ignored it, but it was there. So now I'm like, did I die there and wake up here? And in this here, certain things hadn't happened yet, like this woman's death, So now I have memories that don't line up with this timeline's events. Because that's exactly how it felt today. Like I was watching a rerun in a room full of people who swore it was the premiere. And honestly, I don't know what to do with that. Because if people can die twice, not metaphorically, not I thought they died, but actually die in one branch and then again later in another, then the Mandela effect isn't just we remembered the name wrong. It's some of us are walking around with the 2019 version of reality, and some of us have already updated to 2025. And sometimes, apparently, I'm both. Story 6. All right, I'm finally telling this because apparently we're all just agreeing that we live in a video game now. This happened when I was like 18 or 19, old enough to know the difference between I imagined it and that actually happened, but young enough that I didn't tell anybody because I was sure they were going to be like, okay, babe, time for the padded room. I was sitting in my car before work. I remember the car. It was my little first car. I thought I was hot stuff. Windows rolled up, music low, just killing time before I had to go clock in at the restaurant. I'm parked, I'm on my phone, everything is normal. And then I hear it. That buzzing. You know how you can tell the difference between, like, a fly and a bee? That low, angry, heavier buzz? It was that. Inside my car. With the windows up. So immediately I'm like, nope. Absolutely not. Because I am allergic to bees. Not in the, oh it gets a little puffy way. In the I do not want to find out how bad it can get way. So I turn the radio down and I'm listening. It's getting louder. And then I see it, this little yellow-black menace flying around, bumping around the windshield. In my head I'm like, okay, I gotta kill this right now because if this thing stings me in this car with the windows rolled up, I'm about to be on the news. I grab the only thing I have, some random piece of paper on the passenger seat. I roll it up like a weapon. I'm 19 and dramatic. I'm like, today you die. The bee lands. Right on the dash, in perfect swap position. Like it wanted smoke. I wind up and I smack it. I know I hit it. You can tell the difference between I slapped the air and I made contact with an object. The paper thudded. I felt the little resistance. I was like, got him. I even did the little ugh face like I was proud. I lift the paper up. Nothing. No bee. No little smudge. No crumpled corpse. No legs twitching. Just clean, boring dashboard. So now I'm annoyed, but I'm trying to be reasonable. I'm like, okay, maybe it bounced. Maybe it fell between the dash and the windshield. I look. Nothing. I check the floor. Nothing. I check my lap. Nothing. I look in the cup holder. Nothing. And I'm sitting there, windows still shut, thinking, okay, Melinda, you missed. Stop being cocky. So I go back to scrolling my phone. Couple minutes go by. Then I hear it again. Bzzz. I freeze. I look up. Same bee. Same size, same color, same lazy little circle. And it lands in almost the exact same spot on the dash. At this point I'm like, okay, are you immortal? Are you mocking me? I grab the paper again, but this time I'm like, no, I am not missing. I am not tripping. You are going to be heaven today. It lands. I smack it harder. This time I even hold the paper down after I hit it. Like I keep it pressed on the dash so I can make sure it doesn't fly off or roll away. I can hear the buzzing kind of fade out under the paper, like I actually got it and it's doing the death wiggle. I'm like, yes. Got you. I slowly lift the paper. Nothing. I look at the dash, clean. I look on the paper, clean. I look in my lap, the seat, the mat, the side of the seat, the little crack where things disappear forever, nothing. And now I'm not annoyed, I'm freaked out. Because I heard it. I saw it. I hit it. Twice. Inside a closed car. And there is nowhere for it to go. There are no open windows. There is no, oh, it flew out. There is no, it fell to the ground. If I killed a thing in a sealed box, the thing should be in the sealed box. I literally said out loud, where did you go? I sat there like an idiot, turning in circles in my own car, looking on the ceiling, the visor, the back seat, under the seat, like to be teleported to the trunk or something. I even checked my hair because I was like, what if it's in my hair and it's about to sting me and I'm about to die in the Chili's parking lot? Nothing. 5 minutes later, I swear to God, bzzz. I just put the paper down and stared at it. At that point, I wasn't even trying to kill it. I was just staring like, okay, are you a glitch or am I the glitch? Because it was starting to feel less like there is a bee in my car and more like there is a bee in the code. I remember thinking, what if the first time I killed it in one timeline and the second time I was in the timeline where I missed? Or, what if I'm in a simulation and the physics engine forgot to generate the dead bee asset after I hit it? Like the game spawned the bee, I interacted with it, but the dead bee didn't load, so it just reset the bee. And here's the craziest part. I never told anybody back then. Because at 19, what was I gonna say? Hey mom, the bee I murdered twice disappeared. She would have been like, the only thing disappearing is your common sense. I didn't want to get sent for a psych eval over a bug. So I just kept it. Then years later I read that article about some scientists saying we're basically in a simulation, and I was like, oh, yeah, because my bee respawned. Could it have crawled somewhere I didn't see? Sure. Could I have missed it twice with 20/20th's vision from 3 inches away in a sealed car? Sure, January. But I know what it felt like. It felt like I won, and then the universe went, no you didn't, slightly smiling face, and put the enemy back. And that, to me, is way weirder than a ghost.